Before Pan's Labyrinth, before Hellboy, before The Shape of Water won an Oscar, Guillermo del Toro made this. A weird, strangely soapy vampire story about time, addiction, and the adorable relationship between a grandfather and his granddaughter. This is Cronos, Del Toro's first feature film, and honestly, it's the kind of debut that makes you think, oh yeah, this guy was always going to be a legend. But don't take it from me. Even Ron Perlman said it.
Did you have any inkling that he would go on to be one of the most important and celebrated directors and filmmakers of his generation?
Yeah, I was convinced.
You knew.
And just by looking at his framing, I thought, look, I'm a witness to some very important event.
So today we're cracking open Cronos, why it feels so fresh and how it became that spark that started Del Toro's legendary career. The movie starts like a Gothic fairy tale. An alchemist in the 1500s invents a mechanical device that supposedly grants eternal life. Centuries later, an antique dealer named Jesus Gris finds it hidden inside a statue. It looks gorgeous, gold, clockwork, angel wings, the perfect artifact. Until it bites him, of course. It's this tiny beetle full of gears and blood that latches onto his skin and feeds on his blood. Del Toro designed the Cronos device himself, with help from his father-in-law, and you can already see his obsession with mixing technology and biology, machine and monster. It's elegant, but disgusting, beautiful, but also deadly. Classic Del Toro. Jesus Gris, played by Federico Lupi, is really not your typical horror protagonist. He's not a scientist gone mad or a tragic anti-hero or a hero even. He's just a kind old man running an antique shop with his granddaughter, Aurora. When he finds the device, he is just curious, but curiosity turns into obsession fast. At first he feels younger, stronger, but soon he's craving blood. You know how vampirism works, I'm not going to explain it. The mythos in Cronos for the vampirism, it's pretty much the same as every other. Disgusting, but also heartbreaking. By this point, Del Toro's already made you care about this man and his family. Del Toro doesn't film it for shock value, it's about sadness, it's how far a man has gone. It's the man losing control, losing his humanity, for something that promised to make him feel alive. And that's what makes Cronos different. It's not about monsters, it's about people becoming monsters for painfully human reasons, I guess. You can also see how age plays a big role in the story. The death of the old, the young grasping at the power of the old. It's a really neat concept that I wish they explored further, but you can see the dynamics of the grandfather and granddaughter play a role, and also the two villains of this story, which we'll get into a little bit later. I actually struggle to call Cronos a vampire movie in the traditional sense. At times it even feels like a soap opera, especially because of the music. It's not a typical score that you would find in a Hollywood movie. It's very different. Not in a bad way though, it gives the film a unique personality, but yeah, technically it's a vampire movie, okay? But not the kind with fangs and coffins and things like that. Although there are, things that point into that direction, they are more hidden, it's not something that is just in your face. Del Toro strips the myth down to its bones. It's not a curse, it's more like a creation, a man-made thing. The device doesn't turn you into Dracula with cool powers and shit, it turns you into a junkie, essentially. One that can live forever, true, but you crave blood, you can't handle sunlight, your wounds heal instantly, all the classic vampire stuff, but it's more mechanical, I feel like, not mystical, if that makes sense. Del Toro wanted a vampire born out of curiosity and science, I think, not sin or evil. So, whether you see Jesus as a monster or not, there are two very clear villains in this story. First, Dieter de la Guardia, a rich, dying man obsessed with finding the Cronos device. He hoards relics and he lives surrounded by dust and decay, terrified of dying and desperate to cheat death. Then there is his nephew, Angel, played by Ron Perlman, who would become one of Del Toro's go-to actors, and with really good reason. He is fantastic here, and of course he had done things before, but I feel like at this time he had kind of fallen out of a lot of work, and once he did this movie, he was just everywhere again, and it's great because he's a great actor. His character, Angel, is vain, sarcastic, and kind of hilarious. Like, imagine a mob goon who really cares about his skincare routine. I know it sounds insane, but if you watch the movie, come back to the video, you'll agree with me in the comments. Both Dieter and Angel represent two different kinds of evil, the greed and vanity, and they contrast perfectly with Jesus, who just wants to live a little longer for love of his family. Cronos is packed with religious symbolism, and from Del Toro's interviews it's very intentional. The cross, resurrection, angels, even the name Jesus Gris. He literally dies and comes back. Reminds you of someone. But Del Toro isn't mocking religion, he's drawing a parallel between faith and technology, I think. What's the difference between a miracle that grants eternal life and a machine that does the same? If eternal life came from a device instead of a divine grace or a curse, would you still take it? Maybe I'm reading too much into it and it's just all bullshit. I've got my own baggage with religion, like a lot of people do, I'm sure. But knowing Del Toro, he was raised Catholic. I think it makes sense to draw at least some kind of connection here. Aurora barely says a word in the film, but she's the emotional core of the story. She represents innocence, love, everything worth living for, right? She's the one you root for no matter what. And Tamara Shanat, the young actress, phenomenal. It's hard enough for a child actor to perform with dialogue, but to carry so much emotion, intention, with almost none of it, that's talent, that's really impressive. I won't spoil the ending, of course. You should experience that for yourself, it's really powerful, it's really good. But what I will talk about though, is how the movie even got made in the first place. Cronos was made on a shoestring budget in Mexico. Del Toro even helped build many of the props himself, and many of the set details are made by him. He was 28, only 28, and completely broke and totally obsessed with creating something beautifully monstrous. He sold his van to help fund the movie, and not only did he do that, he had to run away from the police on the way to sell the van. It's insane. If this doesn't inspire you to go all in on something that you love, I don't know what will. It's one of those rare cases where you see a master of his craft pulling off miracles with almost nothing. The film premiered at Cannes in 1993 and it blew up. It won multiple awards, got international attention, and basically launched Del Toro's career to what we know it's today. Even in his debut, you can already see his trademarks: the tragic monster, the mix of horror and tenderness, the clockwork obsession with time, death, and love. Every Del Toro movie, from Hellboy to Pan's Labyrinth to Shape of Water, carries that little bit of Cronos inside of it, and you can feel it. After watching it, you can just feel it on every other of his movies. So yeah, if you've never seen Cronos, do yourself a favor, check it out. It's a really good movie. It's the purest version of what Guillermo del Toro is all about. Monsters with heart, beauty in decay. What's your favorite Del Toro movie? Drop it below. Maybe I'll check it out sometime and make a video about it. And hey, if you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe. It keeps the gears turning.